I'm going to share my screen so you can see what that looks like. And it will be on the bottom of the Seesaw tab that I'm going to show you really quickly. Okay, so on the CFB Learn digital page, there is a button here that says Seesaw. You just click on that. This is where Zara was talking about lots of resources available to you. We've already got some videos there for you. Lots of things that we're going to cover today that you can go back and kind of look at step by step if you want. And then down here at the bottom is where we will put that recorded training. So go ahead, if you haven't already bookmarked the CFB Learn digital page, do that now by clicking on the little star up here in your URL address box, and that'll save it to your bookmarks. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get over to Seesaw. And I'm going to start off our presentation by getting you into Seesaw. So you'll want to type in Seesaw. You can type in the app.seesaw.me. Zara, I don't know if you want to put that in the chat just to make it faster.
Yep, and you can also go to your, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, you can also access it from your resources page for your school as well. But this is it's just a quick way for right now. Of course, your students would access it differently than this, but and then you'll want to log in with Google, and it should connect you with your CFB Google account. Once you're there, you should see, I'm going to kind of move from the left to the right of the screen, starting with the top left right up here where you can see my name, Suzanne Sneed. This is where you can, if you are a part of multiple classes, or if you're a specials teacher and you're a co-teacher in several classes or special ed teacher, then you might find your list of classes here. So you can click on that to find those there. This center part right here is the journal. Think of it as your Facebook feed. This is where you're going to see everything that's posted or announced. We're going to go over this plus sign shortly, so I'm not going to talk about that just now. Over here on the right is where you're going to find all of your classroom information. And we're actually going to start there because there's a few things that we want you to do to start off if you haven't already. To access any of your settings for your classroom, you'll click on this little wrench up here on the top right. And we want you to be really careful when you go in here to this wrench to make any changes in your settings, because there are only a few that you really need to make sure that you change. Everything else really needs to stay exactly the way it is. If you are a co-teacher in another classroom, so this is not your classroom, we ask that you do not touch anything in here. Let that homeroom teacher do all of the changes in this spot. So things that you can change. Once you click on that wrench, you'll see your class settings here. You can change your class theme. So you can change the background color. You can change your class icon. Currently, it would be the name of your class, like the initials of your class, but you can put a Bitmoji or whatever you want there. And then down here at the bottom in the second section where it says students, this is really important. We want you to click on item editing and turn off both of these things right here. This turns off the feature that allows students to tag one another in their posts. And we've already run into lots of issues with this. We want to make sure that everybody turns those off for safety reasons. Okay. And then you'll just click the arrow to go back to that settings page. And then down here at the bottom, there's this really cool little feature called folders. This is something, we're not going to create them right now, but I'm going to show you how to do that. This is great for just organizing your activities. So if you teach multiple activities, you'll want to create folders and drop them into folders, and Zara will show you that shortly. That way it makes it easier for you to find what you're looking for in the journal, so you don't have to scroll through the entire Facebook feed. It's kind of like Control F, right? You can find what you're looking for fast. So to add a folder, you just go to Manage Folders, and then you're going to click on the little arrow, where it's not going to let me, and then you have an option down here at the bottom that Create a Folder. All you're going to do is choose a fun color, name the folder, and click the green check mark. Voila, you have a list of folders. Okay, so those are the only things in settings. Sorry, my mouse doesn't seem to be working very well. Those are the only things in settings that we want you to adjust. Everything else stays exactly the way it is. Okay. Then underneath your settings on the same side and on the right, you have 4 different things here. You have the journal, which is exactly what you see right now. It's the Facebook feed. And you can see that every class has a sample student that you can kind of practice with, and then you have your list of students below. You have, when you go to the journal, if you want to look at a specific student, like if I wanted to look at only Alexis's work, I could click on her name and it would show only the things that she submitted. So that's a quick way if you're doing a grade book and you're trying to track those activities quickly. That's a quick way to do that. Activities are the list of activities that you've posted. So this is where you can click on to go see what's been posted, and Zara will get into this a little bit more in just a minute. You can also see who's turned in things and comments that have been made, and leave comments for students there. Your inbox has two separate tabs inside. You have a messages tab. This would be where a parent sends you a private message. We want to try to avoid using this because we really want everyone to go through Parent Square to do this, but this is where you might see something show up there if you've shared it with parents. Your notifications are great because it just kind of gives you as to who's turned in something, who's left a comment, things like that. So this is where you find in your inbox. And then the last tab over here is skills, and we're not really going to focus on that right now. That is kind of more in an advanced class. But this is the skills area where you could add specific skills to your activities. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Zara. I'm going to stop sharing and let her share.
Awesome. Thank you, Suzanne. Alrighty. Just trying to go back to the home page. Sorry about that. Okay. Share. Alrighty, so if we are currently in the journal, I just want to kind of show you guys if you are looking to find an activity and save it. So some of you may have already done this before, but you may have just done it really quickly and you want a little bit more in depth. So this plus add sign right here is where you kind of start your activities. I'm going to start with assigning an activity. And when you click on this, basically it takes you to your library, any activity that you've kind of assigned in the past, okay? You may have nothing in here. You may have lots of stuff in here. It may be stuff from other people. So you'll notice like some of these are not me, but that's because, you know, it's stuff I've taken from other people. So I'm basically going to show you the Seesaw community. It has so many different activities for so many different subjects and grade levels. So let's say you're looking for a first grade Valentine's activity. You can, of course, toggle over here and choose where you want to go. You can even determine the subject, but I'm just going to leave it at first grade subjects and just type in Valentine's Day. And you'll notice that there's a bunch of activities from teachers that are all throughout the Seesaw community. It's not just CFB. If you did want something just for your school, or there's a teacher that created a really cool lesson plan that's one of your partner teachers, you would just click on school and district. The only school that you will have is your own. I have a lot because those are the schools that I've worked with. And then you can type in what you're looking for. But I'm gonna, for the sake of this example, I'm gonna focus on this community one and find a Valentine's Day themed activity. So here's the one I want to, I'm gonna unfavorite it real quick. Okay, here's the one that I want to do. So all I would do is click on the Valentine edition. Now here is, I'm trying to unfavorite it, but basically right now it's hearted, okay, which means that whenever you heart something, it goes into your library, okay? However, if you don't heart it, then it's really hard to find it later on. So we just recommend if you want to utilize it, just hit the heart. And basically what happens is the second you hit the heart, it shows up in your library. So I'm going to go in the library and here it is. Okay, it's ready to go. So let's say you're like just planning for the next week or whatever, and you found a bunch of activities and all you have to do is just go in and heart them and then they'll be available for you later. Okay, so it's just like saving a post kind of thing. So once you're here, you have a couple of options. You can click on her name and you can see all the activities she's done in the past, or you can simply just click on the activity and you'll see it right here, okay? Let's say you're like, yeah, I like these directions, but I kind of want to make them my own. So the very first thing that you would do to do this is you would click these three little dots at the bottom and hit copy and edit activity. So what that essentially does is it allows you to make a copy for yourself, and then it gives you the ability to edit and kind of make it your own. And you'll notice that the name then changes from Catherine to your name. Okay, so I'm going to copy and I'm going to edit it. It's just like in Google Classroom when you make, Google Drive, when you make a copy of something, it then becomes yours. Okay, so you have you have then the ability to be able to edit. So I'm going to kind of change this Valentine. How about Valentine's Day edition? I'm going to change it to that. And here are the student directions. One thing that we ask you to do on every single activity, students get a little confused on where they're supposed to be adding their response. So what we ask that you do is the very first student instruction that you should have on there is add response. So you'll notice that some of these activities have, you'll notice that some of the Seesaw activities have like little icons on them. So in order to find those icons, we've kind of made it easy for you. When you go to that CFB Learn Digital that Suzanne showed you earlier, if you scroll down, you'll see this icon shortcuts. So this is what teachers use when they're trying to create their own activity or edit an activity. So when you click on that, it basically opens up this little icon shortcuts. So you'll notice that this add response is super, super important for students. So all you have to do is double click it and copy, or Control C. And then when you get into Seesaw, you just have to right click and paste. And it gives you this little code almost, I think like a secret code. What will happen is when you click save, it'll then automatically give you this little button as part of the directions, okay? So basically I want them to click the add response button first. And this teacher wrote, use your strategies to find the sum. So maybe you want to make it a little bit more specific. Maybe you want to go in here and write, click on the drawing tool and write the activities, right? Or write the answers. So you just right click, copy, right click, paste. So maybe you want to put in here, use the drawing tool and your strategies to find the sum, and then on each heart. How about that? So we can just edit it the way we want it. We're gonna move that over here on each heart, and we can get rid of all these examples, okay? The teacher, you'll notice, also has an audio recording of her directions. So if you listen to it.
Okay, friends, you've been learning lots of strategies to help you find the sum.
And you're like, man, my students are gonna think that that's me. You don't really want that. So all you have to do is hit delete and then add your own voice instructions. It'll give you that little mic. It'll also give you this pop-up that you need to hit allow, and you just click it. Okay, students, the first thing you're gonna do is click the add response button. Then you're gonna use the drawing tool and use your strategies to find the sum on each heart. And you probably wanna write the sum on each heart. I'm just giving you an example, okay? And then that's ready to go. If you didn't like it, you can delete it and start it over. The teacher, this is something that we needed to point out, right? Suzanne is the example. So the teacher needs, if she wants to put an example of her own work, she can put the example here, okay? The student template is what the students will respond directly on top of. So think of it as sometimes you do like a teacher sample. So this is like your teacher sample, and this is the actual worksheet. Okay, so just keep those two things in mind if you're making your own activity. But in this case, we're just using activities that are already in the library. And guys, there's going to be a million activities you can choose from the library. So really, if you really want to make your own, that's great. But there's so many available options for you, okay? There's this more options button right now, which you can, put any notes that you want for yourself. And this is the skills part that we really won't focus on right now. But basically, after doing that, you hit save, and you'll notice, check it out. It's me now. It's the little icons are there. My instructions are there and everything is ready to go. I've also labeled it as math, okay? Here's where you start to assign the activity to your student. So you can click this green assign button, and you have a few options. If you have multiple classes, they'll show up over here. So if you want to assign it to all of your classes, you just click check and hit assign, okay? The other option you have is clicking on, let's say you only want to assign it to a few students. So you click edit students, and I'm only trying to assign it to Alexis right now. So I'm going to click Alexis. Here is where I can choose the folder I want to organize it into. So since this is a math, I want to put it in math. And all I do is make sure, okay, math, and then hit that green check. So I've hit that green check. Now let's say today's Friday. I'm not trying to assign this to my class on a Friday. I want to schedule it for Monday. So you have the option to assign it right away. So when I click assign, it's going to go immediately to that one student, or I'm going to schedule it for later. So you click this little schedule button. You can then decide on a specific date that you want to schedule it for. So I want to schedule it for February 1st at 8 a.m. So you just change it to a.m. and hit check. Then it tells you, okay, you're going to assign it for February 1st at 8 a.m. and click that button, and then boom, it's done. You can then view it in your class. So if you want to go to your DLS class and view it, you just click that view button, and it shows you, okay, this is scheduled for February 1st at 8 a.m. and it's assigned to these people. Okay. Now, you'll notice that in this activities button, you have things that have already been assigned and then things that are scheduled for later. So if you, for some reason, accidentally did the wrong timing, you can edit it and say, you know what, I didn't want to, I wanted to assign it to a different time. There's a way to do that. I think I forgot. Oh, here it is. You hit edit and you want to assign it immediately instead. You can do that and hit save. So you'll notice that it's been assigned immediately, okay? Here it is. So then when you go into your journal, now I'm going to see that the kid is assigned this class. It's labeled as math, okay? Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to go in as a student and go ahead and show you how the assignment looks, okay? So let me go to Alexis. Uh-oh. I think I already assigned it to her, so I don't know if it's gonna work. Here we go. Okay, let me just edit this real quick. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna assign it to my sample student. Where's my student? Oh, here it is. Okay, so then the student would see something like this, okay, and notice that the reason why we told you to put that add response, because a lot of times this is what happens. They're like, oh, this is my activity, okay, and they click on the worksheet, and then they tell you, Miss, I can't do anything. Why can't I add anything? But that's because they have to click that add response button, okay? So that's why that first direction is really important, because they end up just clicking this image and then they don't know what to do. So then they'll know they have to click add response. They won't get this option, I do, because we have multiple students that we play with. So here's the worksheet that they would get, and this is how their background would look. They can go back and see their instructions. They can go back and listen.
Okay, friends, you've been learning a lot.
This was my earlier version, so that's why it's not edited. And then they can kind of go in there and they know that they're supposed to use this cursor. They can choose a color that they want and then, you know, answer the questions, etc. You know, do their little questions and answers, and then they just hit the check to submit and it uploads, okay? So then what will happen is in the journal, you'll notice that the sample student has submitted his activity. So you'll get this kind of thing right here, okay? And you'll be able to then take a look at it and kind of go into editing and all of that. So let's say, any questions before I continue to kind of show you comments and stuff? Okay, cool. So then you have when you go into your portal, sorry, the Facebook feed, like Suzanne was saying, in the journal spot, you'll see that there's some people who have submitted. But the easier way to kind of look at that is when you go to your activities that you've assigned, there's going to be like little gray bar, like right here, and it tells them, it kind of tells you that you have 2 responses, 0 that are waiting for approval, 0 drafts, and 1 person who hasn't responded. So when you click on this gray bar, it is a quick way to check who's done what they're supposed to. You'll see that it's loaded, that 2 people have done it, 1 person, there's no response. Okay, so it's just an easy way to kind of check your students' work. The other thing that you can do is then go to journal, and let's say you want to check on sample student. You click on him and you'll then be able to comment to them, heart their work. So you can click on this little like, you can comment and say, great job. I love the way you did so-and-so, and you post it, and then they can kind of respond to you. Other students are not going to be able to see all the students' work or your comments on other students' work, okay? But you'll notice that that's like where you can do that. There's also like a private note that you can write to yourself, like, oh, I realized that the student didn't do 4 of the 5, or, work with the student on adding 2s or whatever, and then you just hit the check. You can also record a message if you want it to be quicker. So it's just a note for yourself for the student. I think that's pretty much it for that.
You can also.
We have about 5 minutes left, and so
Yes.
if there's anything else, or if there's questions that they want us to show us, now would maybe be the time.
Yeah, Suzanne, you were saying?
I was just going to say, you can also, in the comment section, you can also record a comment to the students.
Yes, here it is.
So you can type it, or you can record, or you can do both.
Great job, sample student. And then there you go. Okay, any questions or anything that you guys want us to address, like Jamie was saying, that you kind of are having issues with or would like to learn more about? I know that this was super fast and very basic. We just wanted to make sure that we hit all of the little pieces to assigning activities. The advanced course is also being recorded, and it will also be available here in the Seesaw recorded trainings. Okay. Righty. Suzanne, last thoughts?
No, I was just going to say thank you for taking the time out. I know everybody's super busy. I know a couple of you are brand new, so welcome. We're glad you're here supporting our students. And just remember to head back to that CFB Learn digital site if you didn't bookmark it. Check it out in the chat. Make sure you bookmark it because there's a lot of information there, especially for new teachers. So there's lots of different sections of things you can find there besides Seesaw.
And you can also reach out to your DLS. So if there's something that, doesn't make sense or you need more training, this was just a quick snippet of it, but we can give you a long drawn out training as well. 30 minutes, like one-on-ones as well, if you guys need it. So just reach out to your DLS. There's more information on who your DLSs are as well on that CFB Learn Digital site. So, alrighty. Thank you so much, ladies. I hope you guys learned something. Great.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
You too.
Bye, you too.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I guess that was fine. I mean, we gave them 5 minutes back.
Yeah, that was actually, it was actually perfect timing, really.
Yeah, it kind of worked out. I felt like I was going so fast because normally we're like, do you get that? Do you want to try that?
Yeah. Well, I know my section was really fast, but yours was, I wanted to make sure I gave you more time because I knew yours was, more in depth. So,
More specific, yeah. No, I'm glad you remembered everything we talked about. I was like impressed with your knowledge.
there you go, Jamie. Now you're not on mute.
I couldn't find my window. Like